our secret, how we flow. We're dreamers. Let's talk.
Welcome to our new. Dang it.
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk, where music, fashion, art, culture, and lifestyle is what we like to talk about. I'm Nikita,
And I'm Sakai.
and we're Les Femmes Fatales. Let's talk.
Hey, girl, let's
Hey,
talk.
Hey, you. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. Just enjoying life. To the best of my ability.
Yes.
Just keeping it moving, girl. Keeping it moving. Yeah.
How was your week?
Well, my week was good. I had a little issues with my vehicle, so it was in the shop, and I thought it was going to be ready before I left to go out of town, but it wasn't. So don't panic, just shift.
Hey.
So they gave me a loaner, of course, and even though I'm out of town, it's just parked in my stall. Because I'm in your neck of the woods.
Girl, I wish I could see you before you go.
Know. It was kind of last minute.
Yeah.
But I'm here at Terry's.
Mm-hmm.
At Terry's. And I came to a barbecue. It was a birthday party / barbecue and all that good stuff. For her nephew who turned 11. It's just family and friends,
Yeah.
Close friends, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was, like I said, last minute, but I came up here for that, and gave me an opportunity to see my daughter Tracy and my 4 grandchildren. So that was great. Had spent some time with them yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was great. So
Well, that's good.
So what about you?
Well, the twins had a meetup in Santa Cruz, so that was nice. Getting out on a little drive up to Santa Cruz. We did that yesterday, and the day before we met at some friends who live in San Bruno. So we hung out on this side. I didn't see any of my family. Most of my family is not in the immediate Bay Area anymore. They're kind of like out in Tracy and Pittsburgh and Antioch and places like that. So, but I did talk to. Did I talk? Yeah, I talked to Sakai, and so she's had a fun day. She went to the beach. What is it, on Coney Island? She's in New York, so she got out, and one of her friends had a birthday celebration as well. So she did that, telling me about that stuff, and enjoyed some sunshine, and it's a beautiful day here in San Francisco. So and they got a festival going on, but we're getting used to setting up our show, and and working it. I'm like a DJ over here working stuff, so learning how to do all this stuff. Girl, okay?
I know.
But it's fun. It's fun. I think once I get the hang of this stuff over here, and then I'll feel a little more comfortable,
Of course.
and I can.
This is all new for us, right?
Yes, it is.
So we can take a baby step, but hey, we gonna have it down pat.
We over here producing and pushing buttons and all that, girlfriend. So but it's great. It's been fun, doing the last few shows. It's been great, and it's been like family, right?
Right.
Family's been on with us, chit chatting, and it's like being in our living rooms. We just want to have fun conversation and celebrate all the wonderful guests that we have to feature, and it's really been beautiful. I really have enjoyed that a lot, actually. So
what I love about what we're doing right now, given the the climate we're in right now, what's going on in the world, this is light, and I think people need something light and and just have a good time, take your mind off of the nonsense out in the elements. So and just come here to Let's Talk and just chill and have a conversation, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So that's I
it's
like
really
that.
beautiful.
That's what I like about this.
And
but you know what? I want to remind people that we do have a new single that's out.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. I Will Always Be, and and a video as
Yes.
well. So won't you tell them how they can go about checking out our
Absolutely.
music?
You can find all things Les Femmes Fatales on our website, which is lesfemmefatales.net. And you see that name up there? You see that posted? LESFEMMESFATALES. Put a dot and a net next to it, and it'll take you right over. You can find all of our social media platforms there, as well as where you can download the music. We are rocking over 60,000 downloads now, so that's nice. That's kind of nice. That's kind of nice to celebrate. You know, we've been at this for a while, Keita, and it's nice to get our music out in the world. And also, if you all would like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, we would certainly appreciate that as well. We're trying to build our numbers up and have you guys over there, so we can start doing more stuff over there. Once we reach 1,000 followers, or no, is it share, subscribers. Okay, I got to get this right. Once we reach 1,000 subscribers, we'll have more flexibility. So y'all join us over there. Help us. And we thank you guys for coming to our page, our YouTube page, and checking out our music and our videos. So that's been really nice. It's been nice.
And leave a comment. Leave a comment, because we want to.
And we can't forget about our show, Keita. You want to tell them about that?
Oh, I sure do. We have a show coming up August 8th, and it's in Richmond, California, at the Vibe Bistro. And it's the doors open up at 7, and you can go online and get your tickets now. You know, it's be our first time there. It's a new venue, I believe, right? And it's hosted by Jerry Dove.
Yes.
Right? Jerry Dove. So you guys, if you want to see us perform live, come check us out. We love to, have you out there, supporting us in a live setting as well.
Yes, because it's going to be fun, right?
Yeah,
we have a good time, and it's nice to bring our music to life on stage. So y'all come on out. It's going to be a great night. And others are going to be performing. Martin Luther, I know, is going to be performing, and other artists. So please support live music. Yeah, it's really important. Support live music. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. We've got all that stuff out the way.
I got that out the way. So moving right along, we have a wonderful guest today. Oh, wow. We're excited about having this beautiful queen on our show. Let's talk. She is... she wears many hats, but I'm going to let her tell you about those hats she wears, okay? Please help us welcome the beautiful, the lovely, our friend, our sister, Miss Jeanie Tracy. Hey, Jeanie.
Hello.
Yes.
Hey,
hello,
how
Queen.
you doing?
I am wonderful, and you guys look so beautiful today.
And
Thank
so
you.
do you. Always. You always look beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, you do.
I'm so proud of you both in what you've have achieved and on this journey, and that you're doing this is so fabulous, and thank you for inviting me to be on this platform.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure, for
Jeanie. Well,
yes.
I guess, go ahead, Keita.
I wanted to ask her how, before we get started, I want to ask, how was your weekend? Past week, the weekends, what'd you do?
It was fabulous. I just, my husband was home, so we cooked together and just enjoyed the day. And, so I've been really busy lately, so it was really nice to take some time out and do some gardening and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that I would be a person that liked to get their hands dirty in the dirt and all of that, but I found that it's so relaxing, and it takes all the stress away because you're making something beautiful that's going to grow,
Right. Okay. Well, awesome.
I love that. I love that idea of growing stuff. And, I guess it's nice when you have the room for it, right? We're in our flat, so it'd probably be birds and all kind of stuff eating up our stuff off the back and the deck on the back. They'd be eating all our stuff up, girl.
Honey.
Yes.
San Francisco, so you have like an inch an inch in the backyard.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. Well, I guess we can get started and just dig in and find out more about our sister, our beautiful sister that we've had the pleasure of just working with for so many years. And I tell you, Jeanie, one of the things I love is that you tell great stories. I want to get that off the bat. And that's one thing I love when I see you. I get to hear about your adventures and stuff. So you are loved, you are adored by so many.
Yes, you
And
are.
can we talk about your beginnings and what were like your influences? And, tell us what it was like and what music was like. Who were your musical influences?
Well, of course, Aretha Franklin
Woo.
and Etta James.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, I don't know if this happened to you all, but when I started, everybody was trying to sound like Etta or trying to sound like Aretha. And the recording people said, we already have an Aretha. Be yourself.
Right.
But it was absolutely wonderful. I actually started in music, playing the piano at 6.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And my mother started me with piano lessons. And so I played the classical music, Bach, Beethoven, Rachmaninoff's Prelude. And so I played the classics until I was about 17, I guess. But at 11, I started playing for the church choir. And it was the funny story is that I was sitting in church, 11 years old, and the church pianist got sick and had to go home. And so the minister called, I'm going to call little Sister Jeanie up to play. And I didn't know the first thing. So I got up there and I started playing Bach. And, and they were beating tambourines. I was playing Rachmaninoff, and they were beating the tambourine and having a good old time. So I told my mom, I told my music teacher the next week, I said, listen, Sister Foot, I want to teach me how to play by ear, Right. So she said, if you promise me that you'll stay with your lessons, I'll teach you. I'll start you off. And then there was this young little lady I grew up in Fresno, and this girl's name was Naomi Williams, and she was a beast on the piano and vocals. So she taught me how to play, Sister Foot taught me the basic 1-4-5 changes. Naomi taught me the 7ths and the 9ths and things like that. And I became one of the youngest to travel with adult choirs, playing. Wow. So that's how I got started,
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
How exciting is that?
I think if I had stayed, because now the musicians play chords that I can only dream about. How they're so fierce now with the jazz chords infused with the gospel. And when I hear them, David Jackson is one, and he was the musical director for Jennifer Hudson. But he was, I got to sing with David every Sunday at church, and I would listen to him. Sometime I texted him in church and said, you don't play fair.
Wow. Now, Jeanie, do you play piano or anything when you perform live?
Well, when I first started playing in clubs, I had my own band and I played piano. And I played on a piano that was kind of rare. It was called an organa. And you could switch a button and it would switch over to sounding like an organ.
Wow.
It was a whole piano. And so the funny thing is that I was playing for luncheons, in high school and that kind of thing. And so what happened was when I was in college, there was a radio station, KYNO, and the DJ there was a drummer, and he asked me would I play. He was going to do a drumathon and try to beat the record. So he asked me would I play and sing, while he was drumming so he'd get some inspiration. So I did. He drummed like 66 hours, and I think I played with him about 30 hours,
Wow.
on and on. Yeah. And a guy saw me there, and he asked me would I play in his band, and I said, I don't know how to play in a band situation. So one night, his guitar player, who was Hillard Streets, Friends of the Whispers, he got sick. So the guy came to my house and said, "I need you right now." And I said, "I told you I don't know how to." And so he said, "Yeah, but just play whatever you know, and we'll just follow you." So that's what happened. So I played with them, and I loved it. And the owner of the club had given them 2 weeks notice. And so he liked me. He said, "If you keep her, I'll extend your contract for a couple of years." So that's really how I got started.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That is amazing. See, didn't I tell you, I always learn something else, something new about my girl. I'm always learning something new. That is amazing.
When you lived a long time, you have stories.
Yes, absolutely. But you know how we're chit-chatting about all the other stuff. Sometimes we don't delve into intimate details like that.
Details, yeah, right.
Right. So it's wonderful.
The story is the same basic things, but that's really interested. And sometimes I think about it, but I always tell young people that you have to not wait by the phone. You have to make things happen sometimes and get out there in the trenches and dig for yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yep. So, with that being said, at your early beginnings, when did you start really singing professionally, and with whom?
Okay. Well, I was working at the Fox. I'm trying to think. Having my own band, but who saw me to have my very first situation in recording was Harvey Fuqua. And I was working at the Fox, and KDIA, or a DJ from K-Soul or KDIA, brought him to see me. And I got so excited because he explained who Harvey was from Motown and Marvin Gaye's best friend, and he has a studio, and he's setting up and he's looking for people to record. And so I got so excited. But, sometimes you don't want to because you don't know if it's going to really happen.
Right.
But Harvey did that. He promised me that, and he did that. He was the one a black man to give me my first record deal.
Wow. Okay.
With Fantasy Records.
Yes.
Fantasy Records. I heard of Fantasy Records. Yeah.
Amazing.
The building is still there, but now they've been sold to Concord Records.
Oh, wow.
That's it. Was that in Berkeley?
In Berkeley.
In Berkeley.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember Fantasy. How exciting.
Yeah. Wow. Now, I guess I could say fast forward. Your years, you some background for Sylvester, right?
Yes.
Were you ever a featured artist on, singing with him? Did he put you up front, let you do a solo or anything with him?
Well, Sylvester was one of the persons that he really featured all of the girls. Yeah. And the thing about Sylvester, I met Sylvester working with Harvey.
Okay.
And Sylvester walked into Honey Records. It was called Honey Records on Shattuck in Berkeley. And when he walked in, I thought he was a woman.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking and laughing, and I was sitting there. They were in this meeting, and they said, "Oh, Jeanie, by the way, this is Sylvester." And I said, "Sylvester?" Because I had been hearing all these things about this guy who had these two big women that sang with him, and he was awesome. And my brother had told me about him. And I said, "I thought you were a woman." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." He said, "Oh, that's all right, girl."
Fierce.
So singing with him, he always featured us. He always let us do step outs.
Okay.
He wanted you to do ad libs with him. He was very, very good about that.
Oh,
and
awesome.
So when I started singing with him, there was an album called Too Hot to Sleep. And so I did a lot of features on that album. And that's where we called them Here Are My Gloves, but it was Here's My Love.
Right. Here's My Love. Yeah. And there was another song too, right? Give It Up?
Give It Up. I don't think that was on the album, but
wasn't on the album.
yeah, Give It Up and so that became actually a single.
Oh, okay.
And I remember going to Philadelphia to see my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was there, Nancy Pitts was part of the company, and she was the manager. And so she told me to stop in at the radio station and pump the records up and stuff like that. So the guy at those years, I thought I was cute.
He's still cute.
Oh my gosh, gorgeous.
Still cute.
Still gorgeous.
They was looking at me and they said, "Well, forget Sylvester. Where's your stuff?" I swear that's what happened. And so when I'm telling it now, this is the first time I ever told this story.
Okay.
But anyway, I said, well, I don't have anything out yet. I'm next. I said the Tons are next, and then I'm next after them. Mm-hmm. And I said, but there is a song called "Here's My Love," and so they started playing that, and that became the next single.
Oh, okay.
And Frankie Crocker from WBLS in New York, he had us fly to New York at his birthday party, and Sylvester and I sang it. So Nancy was pissed. So she said, "What was you doing out there?" I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "They just started playing the record. They asked me was I on anything." And so that became the next single.
Oh, wow. It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, wow.
But Sylvester was fun. Those were some of the best days of my life being with him. I remember the first show I did with him was at the Opera House. Mm-hmm. And Sylvester was always good about being the first to do things, mm-hmm. And so we did the show. They said, "Jeanie, we want you to be a pit singer." Now, Luther had pit singers too.
There was a pit singer.
Pit singer is the background for the background.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's just an additional background singers to make it fuller and
gotcha.
And so Sharon Himes, mm-hmm. I don't know if you know her. It was Sharon Himes, and I didn't know her until that time, but she's a fabulous singer. Yeah. And so she and I were the pit singers, and Martha Azora was, quite naturally, then they were making a lot of noise at that time.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I can't even stand to listen to that album because it makes me cry. Oh. Because that night was so awesome. Oh. The people were just the love in the room, you could cut it with a knife. Mm-hmm. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful night. And it's a live album that's out on that, live at the Opera House. Oh. Yeah. And that was my very first show. Oh. And then after that, he asked me to do another show with him featuring Dionne Warwick, and we opened for Dionne Warwick at the Circle Star. You remember that place?
Oh, absolutely.
So after the show, he said, "You're fabulous. Please stay." And I still have the album where he wrote that on the album.
Oh, wow.
Someday it's gonna be worth a lot of money because he wrote that on my album. And so I said, "You want me to stay?" He said, I said, "Forever?"
Aww.
And so he said, "Yes, girl, you're fabulous." And I stayed with him until he couldn't sing anymore.
Wow.
That's so beautiful.
That is awesome. I love hearing stories like that about, artists that, so generous. Because a lot of them have their egos are so in the way.
Come on,
they don't want you to shine. When they hired you to,
put you in the dark.
Them. Yeah, right. And then when you shine,
I had a guy put me in the back, and he had all the lights on him, and I was standing in the dark singing.
That's crazy. Isn't that crazy, though? That's the craziest thing, But little do they know. But little do they know those who are like that you can't block nobody's shine if they shine. No.
Yeah.
You was meant to shine, girl, and Sylvester knew it. And Sylvester knew it, right? Because he was confident.
Yeah, he was confident in himself.
Yes, exactly. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I like to hear that. I like that story.
And
that's
your
nice.
voice, Jeanie, is just so beautiful, unique. It's you. You have a very distinct sound. And that's one thing that I really love and admire is that, we talked about earlier how people were trying to sound like other people. You just, your voice is just, it's beautiful, you know.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
absolutely love it. And we know that, you know, when we read your resume, it's like reading a good book. Literally. It really is, you know. So tell us some of the folks that you've worked with over the years. Can if you don't mind. Can you
No, I
just
don't
share a
mind at
little
all.
bit with some of the artists
Yeah,
you've
the
worked with?
ones I can remember,
Okay.
Bobby Womack.
Mm.
And I was in London at that time, and they asked me to do James Brown and Man's World.
Wow.
And they said, "Do you know Bobby?"
Wow.
I said, "Yeah, I know Bobby. I opened for him at the Circle Star." And I did. My record was playing at that time on the radio, and he wasn't filling the room. So they said, "We need a person from this area." And so I was shopping that day, and I called back to check in, and Nancy said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "I'm in a phone booth." So she said, "You're gonna be." I said, "Don't book nothing for me because I'm going to see Whoa. That's what we called him, because he was always crying to some woman, right?
Right.
And I was a huge fan of Bobby Womack.
Excuse me.
And so she said, "Girl, you're gonna be opening for him." I said, "Don't play with me."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Well, what am I gonna do? Sing a cappella? I don't have a band."
Right.
So the Whispers had a sister group called Collage. And I heard them one time, and I said, "That's the kind of band I need, you know."
Yeah.
And we called them, and they said, I done got all off the subject, but we called them, and they had another gig, but they canceled their gig to come at the Circle Star and play with me.
Oh, wow.
I had 18 people on the stage.
Wow,
Okay.
Jeanie.
You made it work, right?
And we made it work. And Harvey took his he went and got his tuxedo out so he could conduct the band. And I lost my voice 4 days before the show.
Oh.
So the band, I mean, they charted all of my music, and the band, the last day before the show, my voice came back, and I was able to go, and it turned out fabulous. And Bobby, I got a chance to work with him again, and I called him. I said, "Bobby, this is Jeanie Tracy." He said, "Sing your ass off."
Oh, I like him.
I don't know about that. I said, "But I want you to come to England and do this song with me." He said, "I'm gonna tell you about James Brown. You don't try to cover him. You just put the record on and play it."
Right. Wow.
So he came. They flew him in, and we did a show called the White Party. And the only people that had been on that show, I'm just tell you how God works. Only people had been on that show from America was Stevie Wonder and Prince. I think it was Prince, and then Bobby and I. You know, and I've worked with Freddie Hubbard. But when you're on a record label that has other people on it, other artists on it, they'll try to put you together. You probably know that too. And so Freddie Hubbard was one. I've worked with so many, and Martha Wash, Izora.
Right.
You know, that's all I can think of now. I've worked with so many, people.
Yeah. Well, Jeanie, you have had what I would say an illustrious career, right?
Yeah.
Now tell us about when you released your very first album, and were you instrumental in writing like any other songs at all?
Yes, Harvey was. Oh, he was really adamant about me writing songs, and he taught me that the person that gets paid is the publisher.
Right.
The publisher.
That part.
He said, you get a little bit, but that's who gets paid. And so he said you have to write some songs, and I had been writing songs for a long time.
Yeah. Okay.
When I got with Harvey and Nancy, Tina Freeman, Bobby. I don't know if you know Bobby Freeman's wife. She was over a choir. And she was on the label as well, and I wrote all the songs on her album. So yes, I was instrumental in writing some of the songs on my "I'm Your Jeanie" album.
Okay, all right. Now after Fantasy Records, you signed with another label, right?
Right.
And what was the name of that label?
Pulsate.
Okay, and tell us a little bit more about that.
Jose, well, I was in England. Well, I did this song. Martha Washett asked me to come to New York and to do some work with her, doing a show in there. And so while I was there, I did a song. I wrote a song and went in the studio and did it while I was there. And then this girl had told me that her agent loved me. And I said, what does he know about me? She said, well, he's a DJ. She said, he's a DJ and he plays all of your music. And I said, well, can I have his number? So he was so excited that I called him. And so he told me to send him the record, and he got me 4 or 5 record deals, and we settled on one. And so with that record, they had me all over the place. And so the Band of Gypsies were producers there, and they did about 5 songs in a week with me and shopped them to this label. And that's how I got the deal in. But a lady that was psychic had told me that I was going to get 2 deals. Oh. And I said, what is she talking about? I didn't know what she was talking about. But anyway, I ended up getting a publishing deal as well. So she saw that. She said, I don't know what it is, but it's something that goes with the first record deal. And I said, okay, I don't know what that is, but that's what it was. You know, after I got it, I understood that it was the publishing deal. And so I had to write songs as well. That was a fabulous time for me because Fantasy they did the record, but they didn't really get behind it like they should have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know about that.
You can. So am I preaching to the choir?
Yes, you're preaching to the choir. Yes, you are.
And but they treated me. Frank Sampson, I just talked to him the other day because I'm putting a CD together, but they treated me like an artist. You know. They showed me a lot of love. I was everywhere, you know, and I started crying because I had so many shows. I was doing like 3 and 4 shows a night.
Wow.
And not in the same city. I would be like, just say Oakland, and then I would drive an hour and a half somewhere else, or drive to Bakersfield, and then I go to LA, come back somewhere else, and then come back home. You know.
So this is all in one
night.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, yes. And so I did 26 shows one time in a week.
Wow.
Within that week. And I was crying. I said, they working the devil out of me.
Yes,
my husband said, but I thought that's what you wanted. I said, not like this.
So
space it out, right?
So it was, you were in overflow.
Yeah,
overflow.
Truly.
They were to death, you know. And so, and then one night the guy was drinking, and he was going to go off the road, and I said, "Stop the car! Stop the car!" You know, the steering wheel is on the right hand side, right?
Oh,
and I said,
goodness.
"All right." So I got behind the wheel. I said, "Okay, Lord, it's just you and me now."
No, Jeanie. You became the driver?
I became the driver, honey. And wait a minute, we had come from London going to Lincolnshire. And so instead of going to Lincolnshire, you know, they have those things like they don't call them X's, they call them turnabouts. You know about that, right? And so I went back to London, and finally he woke up and he said, "Oh my God, we're going back to London." I said, "Well, you shouldn't have been drinking."
Oh, my goodness. That's crazy. Wow. That's really crazy. And you know, it's so funny because when you're on these buses and tour buses and stuff, I know for me, I'm always like in my head about stuff like that. Like, you know, like if I hear bumps and I'm in my bunk bed and I feel the bus moving this way, I'm like, okay, let me go in here and check on the driver and make sure everything's all right. Everything, you know, so.
And so you could go to sleep, honey, or something.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really.
They have to make sure during the day they need to be asleep. You know, if you see him walking around, that's a problem.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Where are you going? Like, wait, shouldn't you be asleep right now?
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
It happens.
It's so interesting. You know, it's like people think that it's such a life filled with, you know, these glittery lights and stardom and all that stuff. But it is, our world is different. It's, you got to, it's not for everybody. You know,
it's not for everybody.
No,
you
it's
have
not.
to have the stomach, and you have to have the heart of a gunfighter.
Right.
It's so true. It's so true.
I'm saying all of that, but if I tell you, I have a love for it that exists like none other. You know,
Yes.
And you know I do, because I still keep. At this point in my life, I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just having a great time and a good time and doing something that I love.
Yes.
Right. And looking fabulous while you do it.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, you know, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about your 6 weeks on Star. What is it? Star Search. If we didn't talk about your time there, because it was amazing.
Oh, I remember.
It was amazing.
Glued to the TV.
Oh,
let me tell you. I have done some stuff, and I'll say yes, and then I go, what am I doing in my life? You know, and then I get scared, you know, because I'm not the boldest person, really. I mean, if you see me, and you guys know me well, I seem like I have all this confidence, but not really. You know, I get very internal with things, and so, but once you're out there, you got to act like you know what you're doing, you know.
Right.
And Ed McMahon was fabulous, and I think somebody sued him because they said he favored me and all. They didn't favor me. Oh, child, please get out of here with that.
They better sit down somewhere, because we know you sang. What? Look, we was throwing shoes. We was throwing shoes at the TV, and you know, and all that.
You know what? We used to, all the people that didn't win, they would go into the bar and drink and have a good time. We was tired. The winners would go home and go to bed because we were wore out.
Wore out. Yeah.
But it's one of the girls that was on there just reached out to me recently, and it was just a really sweet email, and so I remember her too, because her father said, I bet they're gonna put you up against a great big black woman that's gonna sing the curls off the top of your head. And then she said, she told me that's what her father said, right? She said, and they did too.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. That was such a good show, and just having you on there was like, yes. You know, it just inspired so many people.
Truly.
You know,
I hope that's what
it did. Yes, it did.
That's what I want to do, is inspire others and leave a legacy of just that, you know, you can do it, and just go out there, and even if you're not confident, you know, just do it, you know, and act like you come. Because Sharon Himes, when we did the show with Sylvester, she said, girl, I was so scared. I said, so was I. She said, you didn't act like it. I said, I'm not going to. I remember, let me tell you this. We were in New York City doing Sylvester's show, and they started trying to, after Martha and Izora, they start trying to make us do steps. Yeah. I'm not good at no steps. Just let me go out and do what I'm going to do.
Right.
So we practiced the steps and everything. Child, when the music came on, halfway through the song, I forgot the step. I started making up my own.
You got to do what you got to do, right?
I started making up my own. So the girl said, I messed up. I said, no, you didn't. She said, I didn't. I said, no, I wasn't going to be outdone, child. I'm not.
That's right.
So you was up there showing out, Jeanie.
I was showing out, girl. I just started making up stuff.
Oh my gosh! What
I
a
tell
time!
You what, if I'm singing somebody's song and I don't know, I forget the words, I just start making up stuff.
Sure.
Right.
And nobody knows. Nobody knows.
That was hilarious. That was because I looked at her and she looked confused.
That's funny. That is too funny.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Hey, now, Jeanie, you know, when you released, and I'm going to read this because I want to make sure I ask this question correctly. Now, around the same time you released your first, I guess your first single that was a success. What song was that, and how did that make you feel charting on Billboard for the second time?
Oh, it was.
But as a solo artist.
As a solo artist.
As a solo artist.
Well, I had been doing things as a solo artist for a while.
Yeah.
But nothing wasn't sticking.
Yeah.
Until I got with Abel and Ralphie, and I don't want to miss them because they were my producers. They're Cubano and Puerto Rican. And AM Records was Frank Abraham, and I was on their label as AM Records as well. And my cousin Elsie Love, they had asked her to be on the label, and she said, I don't do that kind of music anymore. She said, but my cousin does. And so they called me. And so I got with Abel and Ralphie, and the first single we had went #1 on Billboard. Wow. And the funny, weird thing is that it charted on Billboard with my name on it, but it wasn't actually on the record because they forgot somebody went. So they said that somebody went on vacation and forgot to put my name. Come on now.
What?
But it was on the charts though as Jeanie Tracy, you know. So it was a great. But then that's when. Do you remember when they stopped just putting us as solo artists and they started putting the DJ's name on it too?
No,
I was mad. I was upset about that. I said,
should have been.
You know. But then you get used. They said, well, we're artists too, and we want our names on it. And that's how the DJs became big, because they started doing records themselves. And the one thing, some of them don't know how to play keyboards, but they know what that music is supposed to sound like, and they know what to put in there and how to add things. And they hire people that can play keys and drums and things like that, program drums.
Right. Now, shortly after that, I believe you met Narda Michael Walden for the first time.
Yes.
And, so what was that like, meeting him for the first time? I know that was an experience.
Well, I had been hearing him on the record.
Right.
You know, I Should Have Known You. And I went to see somebody at the Circle Star, and he was on the bill. And Vicki Winans was up there. Not Vicki Winans, Vicki Randall. And Vicki was playing congas, and you know the stage turned around, right?
Yes.
I love that place.
She had these muscles in her arms, and she was playing the congas, and you could see all the muscles ripping from.
Right.
And then he was singing. It was amazing. And then I did a show one night, and he was there, and he came up and said, "I really love your voice, and I enjoyed you." So I said, "I want to do background." He said, "What?" He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I would like to work with you, and I'd love to do background." And he said, "Okay." He said, "I said, here's my card." And he called me that next week, and I worked on Stacey Lattisaw, and I've been there ever since. Yeah.
Oh wow!
I'm the longest running background singer at I call it Tarpon University.
Okay.
Now,
do you remember living Narderette?
Yes. I like that, Narderette. Now, do you remember how you and I met? Do you remember how you and I met when we met for the first time? I think this is my recollection.
Okay.
Is Freeway of Love album with Narda.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's when I first, because Sylvester was there.
That's right.
You.
That's right.
Preston Glass.
Preston Glass. Yes.
I want to say Clay Tobin.
Clay wasn't on that.
Was it Skylar? Was it Skylar Jack?
No, it was the guy who ran track. What's his name?
Oh yes, Carl Lewis.
Carl Lewis.
Yes, Carl Lewis.
Right.
That's I forgot about that.
And
that's when I first met you.
And I got Narda to hire Sylvester.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I got my first.
That was such a great session.
Great. Me too.
Okay.
That was so great. That's when I first met Narda that day. That same day.
Wow.
Yeah.
and so that's, I mean, and I told him, I said, you never forget me, I said, and I'm telling you, we've sang on some of the most iconic songs in the world, and I'm so glad that I came up during a time, because music really is not like it used to be,
You're absolutely right.
where we could make a little money, now, with the Spotify and stuff, you can make a half a penny or something like that, and that's awful to me. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So share with us, Jeanie, some of the artists you had the pleasure of working with under Narda's production.
Oh,
because I can name a lot. I know you can name a lot.
Yeah, but I forget. Mariah, Stacey Lattisaw, Whitney, Aretha, who?
Curtis.
Curtis.
Oh yeah, Curtis Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. So many.
Yes, a lot.
So many. Oh, Gladys Knight.
Oh, that's somebody
Patti
I would
LaBelle. Patti LaBelle. Only reason why, because it's the names on the checks.
Excuse me.
That part. Now that was in the studio. So any of those artists you like work with them, like live? Did you do live shows with them as well? Any of them?
No, and I never really wanted to work with anybody else. Than Sylvester, because he gave us so much freedom. And but in the studio, I don't mind at all. Angela Bofield. I don't want to miss out on her. And I remember her saying one night, I went to see a performance after she had her stroke. I went to see her, and Mesa was the lead singer, and she had this show where Angie sits down in a chair and she talks about her life on the screen. And Mesa says, oh, Jeanie Tracy's in the house tonight. Jeanie, stand up. So Angie says, Jeanie Tracy. She said, Jeanie and I did a background session on Diana Ross, and I had forgot about it. Who had the stroke?
Aww. Great.
I'm just saying, my brother says, see, look whose mind is working.
Yes.
And she remembered that,
Yeah.
Oh, I love those days. We've had so many spectacular concerts that we've all been on together, the three of us.
I know.
Sessions that we've been on together.
And Shanice Wilson.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
See, it's so many, it's hard to remember. I remember John Zaka, who is doing a film on Bobby Kimball from Toto. Remember Toto?
Yes.
And we got ready. He did a video shooting of Tony Lindsay, Larry Batiste, and I, because we did some background work, about 7 or 8 songs on that album.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember but 2 people that I said. Larry had this whole long list. He could remember everything. I couldn't remember. I said, I need to listen to him so I can remember what I did.
I know, right? I know.
Oh my gosh. It's
Sakai, Sakai is my memory for a lot of stuff like that.
I had to look on Skylar, just look on his Facebook and see who I'd worked with, because I'd forgotten all the stuff,
Yeah, it's
amazing.
It's really amazing. And you've had such a long career that has spanned for a long time. And one of the things that we admire about you is your ability to stay relevant. Tell us about your transition into house and disco, or techno, right?
Okay.
Tell us about that transition and your #1 hits and all of that period. And tell us about that.
Okay. Sylvester was how I got into dance music or disco. And then from there, in dance music, it changes about every 10 years, every 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
And so when I got with AM Records, we were doing dance music, or still doing disco. And then the Brazilians, I've always loved Latin music. And so, because I was raised in a farming town with a lot of Mexicans and Latin people, and so I always loved the mariachis and loved Latin music and stuff. So I always wanted to incorporate that into my music. So I started speaking Spanish in my music. Los Moros Arriba, and things like that, shouting out. And the Latinos love it, because I've embraced, that music. And so when I got with Abel and Ralphie, they were doing tribal music, which is more of an African beat and music. And then they came up with, they don't like for me to tell this story, but it's so amazing to me that I did bunch of ad-libs when I was doing records and stuff. And they took a bunch of ad-libs and put them on this Latin track. And they were doing CeCe Peniston at the time. They said, let's have some fun. Not that she wasn't fun, but they wanted to do a fun track, right? Yeah. And so they started taking ad-libs, off of different things and put them on this Latin track, kind of tribal Latin. And we're the ones that started that Latin movement with the tribal. Wow. And every DJ in the world started doing that And I, when I was in the studio, Abel called me and he said, something's happening. And I said, what's happening? He said, well, we played a record last night and the crowd went crazy. And I had done a song called Stand Strong. And it's just like with all your adversities and things, you just stand there and stand strong, Right. And he said, no. I said, well, I haven't done anything else. What are you talking about? And he says, well, Cha-Cha Heels. I said, I don't have a song called Cha-Cha Heels. I said, I wanted a song. But in the studio, Ralphie and Abel are so crazy. They started walking around in their socks like they had high heels on. Right. And so they were just cha-cha and everything like they had high heels on. And I was saying, get your cha-cha heels on, get your cha-cha. So they took just that bit and put it on the track. Oh my God. And the people went stupid over it.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. And they looked at each other and they said, what do we have here? I said, let's play that song again. It was just a trial track. It wasn't anything they were going to put out. They played it again and the crowd went mad. So they said, let's send it to Tommy Boy. And that record that I prayed for, a successful record, took me all over the world. And I became Miss Cha-Cha Heels.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. And I love the one that we get to do with you is Everybody Up. That's my jam. Up. And I love the video. It's off the chain.
Everybody. Well, Paul Brewer is another friend of mine. Got a guy named Evan Cowden to do a video on that song because it was charting. He said, let's do this video on her. And Eric, Eric is in that video.
Yeah.
Eric.
Eric, yes. Eric, yes.
Dancing with everybody.
Lively Eric
that supports everybody.
Yes, he does.
In the Bay Area.
Beautiful.
So I called him. I said, you want to be in a video? And he said, sure. So he's the little guy with the hat on in the bed with the rest of the guys.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to see now. I'm going to be looking for it.
Now you're going to look at it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
But that's how I transitioned into it was from Sylvester that I got into dance music. But I go and listen. See, you got to get out. You can't sit at home and listen to stuff. You got to get out and go see and I'll ask DJs what's going on now. They'll send me stuff. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. And I came up with the Jeanie vocals, the Jeanie choir. Where you sing with yourself and think of your voice, your vocals and stuff like that. Right. And so that's how all of that came about.
Beautiful, Jeanie.
You don't do nothing by yourself. You have people that to help you get there. Yeah, and people send me stuff, but right now I am not loving what I'm hearing in music right now, in dance music. It sounds like pots and pans to me. There's no musicality. And I said, look, I've sang everything I know to pots and pans. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
When you can put some keys in there.
Right. That part.
Let me know. Okay.
I know that's right.
Right.
Well, Jeannie, this interview with you has been wonderful, and we unfortunately running out of time, but I have real quickly. I just want you to just share with us, because not only are you a singer, songwriter, producer, you dabbled in some acting. You portrayed Mahalia on the stage play Mahalia. Just briefly tell us how that was for you.
Well, the first time that I played her was New York City, and that was with George Faison.
Yeah.
And child, I had to pray on that, because here another time I done stepped into something that I think, oh my God, the New York divas, they don't play.
Yeah.
And they said, and I mean, they threw me in there, and they threw usually when I get into stuff, they throw a whole bunch of stuff on me. And that was fabulous, because Richard Smallwood was he was the musical director. Wow. Yeah. And there was a lot of people on there that Richard Smallwood singers and actors. And I had to pray, because the guy named Joe Lynn played my husband. He was fined for no reason. I had to pray. I wasn't married then. I had to pray and ask God to not let me feel anything when he heard me.
That's funny.
And so he was wonderful. And he said, don't let them throw anything on you that you can't handle. So when I did my first show, when I did the show, we did it in Maryland too. And when I walked down the stairs and I opened my eyes, the crowd was standing up. And because Jennifer Holliday had played it before I did. And you know how you second guess yourself when somebody as great as Jenny comes and does something, But I brought something different to it then, and I played Mahalia different, because her son had told me that she got out cuss a sailor. Then,
Right.
She said, God is in. She would say, if they didn't have her money, she would say, I got longitis. And then when they brought all her money, she would say, God is in the healing business.
that part.
Oh yeah, I've done a little bit of.
Wow.
Yeah, well, is that something you would want to do more of, some acting at this point in time in your life?
No.
No,
I'm sitting down.
Okay, I understand.
They do too much, baby, running up and down stairs and running across the stage left, the stage right. No. Okay.
I hear you. Yeah.
Well, Jeannie,
where's my girl?
We know that we've talked to you about a few things. We don't have a lot of time to talk to you about everything, but what is something that you want people to know about you that we haven't asked? What question? The question that we may not have asked today. What's something that you can tell us about
you guys
yourself?
have asked me a lot of things, and I think the only thing is that I'm really simple, and in the fact that I live a simple life, and not simple-minded or nothing. But I live a simple life, and I'm pretty much down to earth, and I don't meet any strangers, and I love to garden. And that's what I've been doing, is getting in my garden and making my front yard and my backyard, look beautiful, and love my family. And I don't have anything. And I want to leave a legacy of that, that life is here for you to live, so live it. And I want to with my music, I want people to feel good. And when you get out there dancing or listening, just know that everything is going to be okay, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
Love
Wonderful.
that so much.
And I take it, given what you just said, that's how you balance your home life and your busy music schedule, right? With,
yes,
taking time out for you.
My family and artist said, I don't get up in the morning and thank God for my life, my health, my strength, this hair. And
crazy.
And y'all know I shop in the name of Jesus.
And you know what? And it shows, because you dress fabulous on stage and off stage. You always look fabulous, always. And you know what,
Thank
Jeannie,
you.
we thank you for being on Let's Talk, and sharing your journey with us and the viewers. Before you go, please let everybody know how they can reach Jeanie Tracy and hear your music and everything.
www.jeanietracy.com, Facebook, Jeanie Tracy.
All right. Okay.
Awesome.
Well,
And I have a
thank
new
you.
love CD coming out.
Oh, there you go. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a new love CD coming. That's what we didn't talk about, and it's
Okay.
all of my past and present love songs. It might be a couple of little mid-tempo songs in there, but it's all about the love. Okay.
Right on. Right
Jeannie
on.
sings you love.
I love
Jeannie
that.
sings. Okay. Well, wonderful.
Oh my
Well, Jeannie,
gosh.
thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate you. We love you, and we'll be looking out for your new project.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
And
You're
thank
beautiful.
you for being
I
such
love
a
you.
beautiful
Thank you.
inspiration. You have inspired my life on so many levels. I'm
Yes.
so grateful that I can call you friend and sister. I'm sure
Yes.
Nikita, both of us.
Oh,
And
yes.
it is
Sure,
just,
for
it's such a
sure.
joy.
Me too.
Such a
Me
joy.
too.
And
Me
thank
too.
you. Thank you for inspiring this. This is probably one of the reasons why we've stepped out and we're stepping out and doing other things. That's one of the things you've encouraged us to do. So
Yes, you have.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
yes.
Especially like when we was with Train, you say, you guys should be doing your own thing,
Yeah.
And
I always did. You know
Yes.
I did.
Yes, you did.
So-
Look, and hey, we just keeping it moving.
With
Keeping it
yourself,
moving.
I always say you got it all right there. Kevin is there to help you. Larry's there.
Yes.
I'm here for you. So just always step out and get it for yourself.
Yes.
I never have just sat by the phone and wait for it to ring. I go and say, I need some work. I need some work. That's called the I need some work blues.
Okay.
Love it.
That part.
Yes. Well, you have graced my records. You have graced Nikita's, and we thank you so much. It's such a joy. We could go on, but we out of time.
So thank you.
I love you.
Love and blessings to you.
Love you, sweetheart.
Love you too.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Wowza.
That's awesome. Wow, that was a great interview, right?
Oh my gosh, girl.
She has done a lot. She has done a lot, and she's still doing her thing. That's what's the beauty of it.
Yes.
She's still doing her thing.
So inspiring. There were so many times I got a little worked up a little bit there. Just just the energy.
It's a class act.
Absolutely, all the way
act.
around.
It's a class act. Yeah.
Peter.
But before we go, Sakai, please let everybody know how they can reach Les Femmes Fatales and on our platforms.
Absolutely. So we have our website, which is lesfemmefatales.net. It's LESFEMMESFATALES.net. And tell them how they can find us. That's where you can find everything Les Femmes Fatales. But you can also check in with us on our YouTube and Facebook channels. Yes. On YouTube, please join us there. Subscribe, like, and what else, Nick? Talk to them a little bit more about that.
And leave that comment. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you think of our music and videos. We love to hear from you. And until next time, you guys take care.
Our show. Tell them about our show.
I'm sorry. Our show. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, we have a show next month, August 8th, at the Vibe Bistro in Richmond, California. You can go online and get your tickets now. The doors open, I believe, at 7 p.m. So we love to have you out there, partying with us.
Yes.
So until then, we'll be here again next week. So tune in, and you guys, continuous love and blessings from Les Femmes Fatales on Let's Talk. You guys take care.
Let's talk. Everybody wants to know what's our secret, how we flow. We're dreamers. Let's talk.
Welcome to our new. Dang it.